Hey guys, today's story is about an LFG DM. Let's start off with some names. I'm me, obviously. The GM is the GM. The Bard is the co-GM. The Paladin is someone who will become very important in hindsight. And the other players will be mentioned, but they're not particularly relevant. To start off, this is a group I found on LFG, and the game was in Roll20, and to keep things concise, it was the beginning of the game, and we were level 4, and we were allowed to choose both one rare magic item and one uncommon one. I rolled a Zealot Aasimar of Soon, which was sort of a gimmicky character, who was the stereotypical rich white girl we all saw in high school movies. When the first session came, all seemed well enough, but there seemed to be some obvious favoritism towards the co-GM. I've played in plenty of games where people use the advantage setting on Roll20 and just take the first number rolled so that they don't have to toggle it. The co-GM always took the highest and had it on permanently, effectively meaning that they were playing with permanent advantage. But at this time, we were sneaking into a mansion and shenanigans were ensuing, and it was a lot of fun, so I ignored the whole advantage thing and assumed it was just a mistake. Both the co-GM and our druid were a homebrew, satyr race that prevented people from getting drunk when they were within 30 feet of them. But once you left that range, the hangover would hit you all at once. This struck me as pretty exploitable, and the party did exploit it immediately. And it was pretty funny, and I understand trying out new abilities at the start of the campaign, so it was no big deal. Then the co-GM played their magic item, which charmed everyone who could hear it for 10 minutes or so. And this also seemed a little bit overpowered to me, but considering the effect also hit allies, and I wasn't sure if it was an official item, still not sure, I let that slide too. And importantly, up until that point, we had a paladin in our group. But between this session and the next, they just vanished with no word in the Discord chat. No mention to the GM, or anything. Our ranger asked what was going on there, and the GM simply stated that something had come up in real life with them, and that they couldn't fit the campaign in anymore. I thought nothing of it, and I didn't know at this point that this would be a trend. I think something similar happened between the first and second sessions as well, but since it was the first session, I just assumed it was scheduling conflicts. Now, my barbarian at this point, while funny, was swearing a bit thin, since the group was fairly roleplay heavy. So I asked if I could switch to something less jokey to try to develop the character more. The GM said I could do whatever, and that it was a perfect time in the story anyways. Way of Mercy had come out in UA, and our party could use an additional healer at that time, so I decided to change over. The magic items I chose were the portable hole and the eldritch claw tattoo. And at this point, a big story thing happened. Some cultists were summoning a demon in an opera, and we had been given box seats up above, and waiters had attempted to drug us before all hell broke loose. The whole thing was a really cool setup. Robed hooded figures stood from all over the audience, and we tried to stop them. The box doors were locked, so half the party couldn't get down safely, and my portable hole didn't work due to magic on the door, so we needed to find hidden runes to deactivate it. And we found them, and the co-GM picked the lock. But even after the runes were deactivated, the portable hole still didn't work. So our druid and I jumped down to the lower floors, while those that couldn't take the fall ran down the stairs. The druid mauled one of the robed figures as a direwolf, and then it was my turn. I activated my tattoo, which has an effect that lasts a minute, and swung at one of the robed figures that were chanting. I missed, luckily, as it turns out that there were two different sets of robed figures. Cultists and harpers. There was no indication of this, and we were only told about it after the others got down. I guess I got unlucky, and the druid got lucky, as the druid had attacked two more people, both of which were the right robe figures. The round passed, combat flowed, and it was back to my turn. Now knowing the actual enemy, I attacked, and the Eldritch Claw gives unarmed strikes with a 30-foot range, so I didn't think I had a move. But the GM told me that the effect had already ended. I, of course, was confused, saying that a round of combat is 6 seconds, so this effect should last 10 rounds. He said that with how many turns there are, a round lasts more than a minute. Which, of course, that's not how that works at all, but hey, it's his game, his rules, so I was going to play by them. so I ran up to my target and used Flurry of Blows, dealing a fairly good amount of damage and downing them in one turn. The GM sounded surprised looking at the damage I rolled, but he didn't comment at all. Things progressed, and we failed to stop the robed figures, and we were forced to flee. I tried using my portable hole to help my party escape, but it was again ineffective, even though all the magic in the theater was gone. This annoyed me a bit, and I became even more annoyed when the co-GM opened the door with a 14 lockpick roll. Why would the GM let me have a magic item that I couldn't use? However, I was sure that I would be able to use it at another time, so I moved on. We returned to the yawning portal, while Waterdeep was swarmed with demons, and it seemed to be running perfectly normal, which was weird, but no big deal. Then the GM added his DMPC as a follower, a level 20 Warlock, Shadarkai, Edgelord with Charisma and Dexterity both over 20, who seemed to be simultaneously packed of the blade and chain. Apparently, it was a character from a one-on-one campaign he and co-GM had done at some point. We had seen this character before, and they were a go-between for our party and our employer, so them teaming up with us made sense, even if they weren't doing it for us. The whole thing was a bit ridiculous, but since it seemed like a story character we would encounter later, and they only followed us for about half the session, I was fine with it. I didn't even mind that they steamrolled the few combats that we encountered with them. Once they were out of spell slots, they couldn't solo the encounters in one turn anymore, so I was able to get a few hits in. Over 2 turns, I used Flurry of Blows twice, and the GM asked me how many of those I get, almost suspiciously like I was cheating. I responded that it was 1 key, and at level 4, I get 4 key per short rest, and I was rolling really well on my damage, but still, how he said it kind of hurt my feelings. At the same time, he was letting the co-GM use Vicious Mockery as a bonus action, and the Psychic Blades from Whisper's Bard more times than I can count. Not to mention all these rolls with advantage because he still had it on. But we eventually managed to make it to a place where we could take a short rest and call the session. In real life things happened after that, so we went a few weeks without playing. I and several others kept checking to see if there would be a session the day before each week. And then poof! I checked one day to find that I was no longer in the server. Confused, I looked at my friends list and neither the GM nor the co-GM were in it. They didn't talk to me at all. They just banned me and blocked me without any reason or explanation, the same as the Paladin. An ad on LFG was posted that same day, the exact same one that I had seen before. I checked the GM's profile out of curiosity, and saw that he basically spammed it every month for a few days, and I still occasionally see an ad for that campaign. It's a bit anticlimactic, but that's where this story ends. Well guys, I don't have much to say here except maybe if you're on LFG, check the poster's history to see if they spanned the ever-living daylights out of it. It might be a very good red flag. But in any case, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. And if you would like to chat and hang out with other people, I have a Discord link in the description. But, as always, have a good one. And Merry Christmas.